If you know anything about the startup space, you've definitely heard of Y Combinator. They're a startup accelerator based in San Francisco and have grown some of the most well-known tech companies in the world, like DoorDash, Airbnb, Twitch, and Reddit. They've invested in over 5,000 companies that are worth a combined $800 billion. But you don't invest in that many companies without making some pretty big mistakes. In this video, I want to talk about 3 companies that became total failures after graduating from Y Combinator. We'll be covering dumb ideas to outright scams, so let's get right into it. The first company we'll be looking at is Ubiome, a biotech startup that promised to analyze your microbiome and change human health forever. And by change human health, they meant it'll also change your insurance bills. Ubiome was founded in 2012 by scientists Zachary Apt and Jessica Richmond, with a third co-founder joining early and quickly leaving. Their pitch was a direct-to-consumer microbiome test kit where you mail your stool samples and learn more about the bacteria that live in your gut. From there, they had big dreams of drug development and licensing data to pharmaceutical companies. They raised around $350,000 from crowdfunding and entered the summer 2014 batch of Y Combinator. Soon after, they launched their Smart Gut and Smart Jane test kits. But here's the thing, telling ordinary people, mail us your stool samples so we can do science is a pretty hard sell. So Ubiome pivoted, and fast. They started having doctors order these tests, then billed insurance companies thousands of dollars per test. One internal complaint says they billed insurers nearly $3,000 per test. That's when you start seeing red flags. They encouraged old users to upgrade their tests, mailed out retests of old samples, had a network of doctors who approved orders without seeing patients, and submitted claims before their product was fully validated. The US government alleges tens of millions in fraudulent claims. At the same time, the company raised a grand total of $105 million at a $600 million valuation by blatantly lying about revenue and profitability. By April 2019, investigators had come knocking, and the FBI raided Ubiome's San Francisco office. The board put Richmond and Apt on leave, and the company filed for bankruptcy later in 2019. All $105 million that the company had raised was gone. Here's the final twist. Co-founders Jessica Richmond and Zachary Apt actually got married in 2019. Then, just when the legal stakes were high, they relocated to Germany, and according to US prosecutors, they are now wanted fugitives for defrauding investors. Next up, we've got a company that thought it could reinvent one of the oldest, slowest moving industries on Earth, the legal system. This is the story of Atrium, a legal tech startup that raised $75 million from top-tier investors, including Andreessen Horowitz, and was founded by none other than Justin Kan, the co-founder of Twitch. Atrium launched in 2017 with a pretty bold vision: combine a traditional law firm with modern software to make legal work faster, cheaper, and more transparent for startups. Working with lawyers usually involves confusing invoices, long wait times, and emails with tons of legal jargon. Justin wanted to fix all that. Atrium would be a one-stop shop. Clients get real lawyers, but the grunt work, like contracts, filings, and document management, would all be run on custom-built software. The company promised startup founders an easy subscription model instead of unpredictable hourly billing. In theory, it was like turning a law firm into a SaaS business. Atrium joined the winter 2018 batch of Y Combinator, and with Justin Kan's name attached, Atrium took off fast. They hired dozens of engineers and lawyers, grew to over 100 employees, and signed tons of early-stage startups as clients. Kan was on podcasts, and TechCrunch was writing glowing profiles. The disrupting the legal industry narrative was in full swing. Atrium wanted to be to law firms what Tesla was to cars: sleek, tech-driven, and better in every way. But there was a problem. Atrium wasn't just building software, it was running a full law firm at the same time. That meant expensive attorneys on salary, high overhead, and a constant struggle to make the economics work. The hybrid model might sound appealing, but in reality, it was too much for Kan and his team to handle. The lawyers didn't love being managed like tech employees, the engineers didn't understand legal workflows, and the clients, they just wanted a cheap, reliable legal service, not a startup that kept changing its business model. By 2019, things started looking rough. Atrium began laying off its legal staff and tried to pivot into just selling the software to other law firms instead. But law firms are famously not early adopters of new tech, and the software wasn't so revolutionary that they were dying to switch. By March of 2020, Atrium threw in the towel. The company shut down its startup operations, laid off about 100 people, and returned some of the leftover cash to investors, which, to be fair, is more than most failed startups do. The law firm that had been spun out of the company continued under its own name, but the dream of automating legal work at scale was dead. Justin Kan later admitted that Atrium's business model was flawed from the start. It tried to be a tech company and a law firm, but didn't do either one particularly well. It's the startup version of trying to serve sushi and pizza in the same restaurant. Maybe both are good separately, but together it's a mess. Instead of talking about a single failed company, let's talk about a whole business model that imploded. NFTs. And the company that rode that boom, then got dragged behind it, is OpenSea. OpenSea was started in 2017 by Devin Finzer and Alex Atala after they watched the launch of CryptoKitties on the Ethereum network and thought, someone needs a marketplace for this stuff. The company entered Y Combinator in the winter 2018 batch and slowly grew into what became the default place to buy and sell NFTs. In March of 2020, OpenSea was still small, about 4,000 active users and roughly $1.1 million in transactions per month. Then the NFT mania hit. By July of 2021, monthly transactions reportedly surged to $350 million. During the 2021 boom, OpenSea raised big funding rounds and briefly reached a $13.3 billion post-money valuation after raising $300 million. An eye-watering number that mostly tracked the frenzy for NFTs at the time. While all that was happening, headline sales like Beeple's Everydays for $69 million and rare CryptoPunks selling for tens of millions helped feed the narrative that digital art was now just as valuable as traditional masterpieces. But all booms have cliffs. OpenSea processed a record day of about $2.7 billion in NFT trades on May 1st, 2022, and then, fast forward a few months, volume collapsed. By August of 2022, daily volume had plunged roughly 99% from that peak, down to single-digit millions in a single day. When your market is mostly speculative liquidity, it disappears even faster than it arrived. On top of the market crash, a new competitor called Blur showed up in late 2022 and stole much of OpenSea's remaining market share in the NFT market. But OpenSea didn't sit still. After multiple rounds of layoffs, the company began to pivot away from being purely an NFT art gallery and instead rebuilt as a token aggregator and trading hub. In short, instead of only trading pictures of monkeys, OpenSea now offers users a way to trade all tokens, NFTs, meme coins, and everything in between, by aggregating liquidity across many sources. That pivot actually started showing results in 2025. Reporting in October 2025 showed huge month-over-month revenue jumps after OpenSea added multi-chain token trading. Forbes and Blockworks reported dramatic increases in token volume and a surge in revenue, not from NFT art, but from token trades and meme coin flows. Some reports claimed 202% month-over-month revenue growth and hundreds of millions in 30-day token volume during October 2025, and that fee revenue had returned to meaningful levels. To deepen engagement, OpenSea announced plans for a native token called Sea to launch in Q1 of 2026. So where does that leave OpenSea? It's not the clear-cut winner of 2021 anymore. NFTs are a much smaller, shakier market than they once seemed. But OpenSea's brand, product rebuild, and pivot have given it a fighting chance. Although the three companies today turned out to be either failures or scams, I do think it's a brave and admirable thing to start a new business doing something that people haven't really tried before. Of course, I'm not talking about outright scams here, but when it comes to a business that failed due to product market fit or poor management, hindsight is always 20/20. It can be hard to tell in the present if your idea is worth pursuing or not. I believe the brave and correct thing to do is to at least explore the idea. You never know if it could change the world. Anyways, thanks so much for watching.